Alrighty, so the time has finally come for me to try to explain World 4 Skip. So there's a lot of stuff to cover in this video, which is why it's so long. If you stay to the end of the video, I do mention ways to fix some of the reasons why you guys are failing this trick. I've watched a lot of people do this trick now, and a lot of the same issues have been arising. So the main issue that I've seen are people getting the launch. They're doing the trick perfectly fine, but they're not getting the horizontal movement. They're just going straight up in the air and then falling down into the water. So I explain how to fix that, what's causing that. I also explain what's causing you to go over the trigger or under the trigger. I explain how to save that if that happens. So definitely watch the whole video. There's a lot of good information in here. So this trick was originally found by Paul. It was found in Boneyard Casino. That was the first time we've ever actually seen this trick being used. It's the same exact concept where you super jump into a water plane, fall through that water plane, and then get sent back up from the void with immense amount of speed, and then we bonk off of an object to get sent in a general direction of where we want to go. So if you want to check out the Perilous Ascent or Boneyard Casino Master Thief Sprints, those are other reference points to see how this trick is being performed, maybe help you understand it a little better. But if you watch this whole video, you should have all the necessary ingredients you need to make this work. And this trick really isn't that difficult to pull off. There's just a lot going on, and you just have to kind of understand what's happening. I try to explain it as best I can, but it's really hard to put some of this stuff into words as this trick is very feel-based. So after a while, you'll get the muscle memory down and you'll finally figure it out. Just trust me, it's going to take a lot of practice, but I know you guys can do it. There's already been a few runs with this already been done, so it's definitely not impossible, and it's definitely doable if you guys practice enough. So I just want to say before we start that you're going to want to have a gold charm coming into Perilous Ascent. You don't necessarily need a gold charm for this trick, but it is very good to have because it gives you 2 tries at the trick every single life. So what you want to do is you want to enter Perilous Ascent with a gold charm. Whether or not you get it before or after doesn't really matter. As long as you have a gold charm when you reach World 4, that should be fine. And yeah, I guess let's get right into the tutorial. All you have to do is just super jump here. And that's where the split ends. You no longer have to view map and pick up the key. So right here, when you load in, you're going to load the game. And this is where the new route starts entirely for World 4. So from here, what you're going to do to set this trick up is run across this and come over this way. The reason I say that is because there is a cutscene, a Bentley cutscene right here on the corner of this roof. So be sure to run out across this log here and then down this to avoid triggering that cutscene. And then when you're over here, so just jump out of bounds near Flaming Temple like you normally would. Run across towards spinning. And then you can drop down here. And then what you're going to do from here is you're going to enter Duel by the Dragon. So enter Duel by the Dragon. And there's a charm at the beginning of this level if you guys would need one. I'll show you guys where that is. If you need an extra charm here, this is the charm I'd recommend you get. So just come up here. Make sure you avoid this cutscene. And there's a charm right here that you can pick up and get. Once you pick up this charm, make sure to save the game and then exit. So when you exit level from Duel by the Dragon, this is where the trick officially starts. So you're going to turn around, and then what you're going to do is you're going to jump out and around this level trigger. You can literally stand inside this level trigger. It's really not hard to jump around it. So just jump out and to the left. You can stand here. The level trigger is pretty much to the right and in front. So you want to make sure you jump around it to the left and then land behind the level trigger. Right here is fine. And then what you're going to do is jump over to this roof and then jump down to this little overcrop here above the window. And I'm going to explain to you generally how this trick works now, just so you can get an understanding of why this is working. And then at the end of the video, I'll explain it in more detail. So what we're basically doing right now to get a launch is we're getting a super jump. So we're super jumping from this roof down into the water here in a very specific way. that you can gain a lot of speed when you move upwards from your drowning animation. So when Sly stops drowning, you're going to get sent up back to that area that I showed you with a lot of speed, and that speed is what's going to give you the perfect angle to get into the load zone for the boss fight. So what you're going to do is, like I said, just get on this little roof here, this side roof, and you'll notice there's two visual cues I like to use on this roof. So the first one being this right here. It's like a little 8 or a little infinity sign. This is the first visual cue I like to use. And then on the same piece of wood, there's another line right here. It goes through the middle, this little line. I like to use this as well. I like to get Sly right in between those two, but a little bit more to the right. So like right here is pretty good. So I guess you could use this as a visual cue too. You want to be pretty much right in front of this blotch on the wall. And then from here, what you're going to do is just tap up on the D-pad a few times. Make sure you're up as far close to this back wall as you can be. So I like to jump and push forward and then kind of let Sly slide down into place like this. You'll notice I'll land, slide down, land, slide down, land, slide down. So this is how you know you're going to bonk off the roof above me. You can see the angle I'm at. This roof is like right at the perfect angle to bonk Sly in this direction when you get sent back up. So like I said, just jump here, land, let Sly slide down once, and that should be a perfect starting position. So the starting position and the ending position matter in a super jump, as you guys know. So what you're going to do is you're going to jump down here, and you do not need to super jump this. I just do it because every now and again Sly's grounded position will update on this log here. So I like to super jump here. And this is definitely the hardest part of the trick. So like I said, this is literally just a super jump. This trick really isn't that difficult. The only hard part is what's coming up next. So when you're here, like I said, make sure to jump and let Sly slide into place. So when you're here, I like to just jump down and land right here. It's very easy to jump down. So just land here, and anywhere in this wall, this invisible wall that I'm kind of clipping through, is this will not update your grounded position, so you do not have to super jump here. The farther you get to the left, the more chance you have of updating your grounded position. So I like to super jump when I get out here to the edge just to be safe. But you can stand down here and set this up in many different ways. I personally like to go from the very edge of this log here and turn my camera just so I can barely see what I'm doing. And then I like to jump out. I just jump forward, and then at the last second I curve my analog stick to the left so Sly can clip through the water and start drowning. So that's what I'm going to do here. Just jump forward and then cut to the left and try to hit the edge of this water plane at the very back. And when you get sent back here after failing the trick, you don't have to reset your grounded position. It should still be the same. So just jump down here again. And then this is my setup. I'm going to show you a few different setups, but this is the setup I like to use. Get out to the edge of this log and then jump forward and then cut left at the last second. So here's another thing. So if you miss the water plane, what you're going to want to do is, if you have both of your charms still, if you have your gold charm still, you don't need to load the game. You can just view map right back into Duel by the Dragon and then exit level. But let's say I lost both of my charms and I want to get those charms back. I'm going to load the game here, which will give me my charms back. And then from here, you can view map back to Duel by the Dragon and then exit level, and you're back right where you started. So only load the game if you lose your charms. If you still have your charms, you can view map into Duel by the Dragon. But like I said, so when you're back here, you're good to try it again. So just jump around this level trigger, jump down, land on the roof, and then line yourself up with the line on the wood below me. You can also use this as well. Like I said, this is another visual key you can use. But yeah, just get Sly up and under that roof and then slide down. Jump down here. So that part, like I said, should not be difficult for anyone to do. That part up there is very, very easy. This is the hardest part right here, is actually hitting the edge of the water plane. So like I said, start wherever you'd like. I'm going to show you a few other setups here as well. And then just jump forward and then cut left at the last second and try to clip through the water plane. So the only thing left to really explain is the timing for the X input when you're drowning. So you want to let Sly drown for a pretty long time, and what you're going to do is you're going to jump out, and when you get the trick, you're going to turn your camera in this direction. So Sly is facing the camera, and you'll see why why that matters in a second once I actually get this trick. All these are very close, and I do recommend hitting the water rather than voiding, because if you void it, it loses a lot of time. So try to at least hit the water if you can. So turn your camera around, and when you see those mountains are about to leave the game feed, press X to cancel your drowning animation, and this should be perfect. That was absolutely perfect. So that's my setup for the trick. Alright, so a couple things I want to mention here. One, so there's a few ways you can fail this trick. The first two are the most simple ways to fix. So if you're getting the trick, you're getting the bonk, and you're getting the horizontal movement directly to the trigger, and you're going over it or below it, like you're going too high or too low. The problem lies in your X input when Sly's drowning. You need to time your X input, basically just time your X input better. So if you're going too high, you need to time your X input a little sooner. If you're going too low, you need to time your X input later. So an example of that would be, I can show that off. So I'm going to do a trick. I'm going to do it here where I'm going to go too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deliberately wait too long to press X. So this is going to send me too high, and I'm going to show you a way to try to save that. So I'm going to wait entirely too long here. I didn't even press X. So Sly's going to get insane speed, way too high. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press square. And this gives me a chance to still hit the cutscene trigger. So here I went too far. If I pressed X a little bit, or if I pressed square a little bit sooner there, I probably would have been able to save that. Even though I'm way too high, I can still hit the cutscene trigger. Pressing square in the air will kill your momentum and make you fall directly straight down. So here I'm going to press it way too early. So right here I'm going to press it. And as you can see, I still got the launch, but I went too low. So that problem right there is I pressed X, or I pressed X when Sly was drowning way too early. So there's a fine line between where you want to press X and to go too far or too low. There's a very fine line in between too far and too low. So I'll try to show you that visual cue one last time here. So you want to press X when those mountains are about to leave the game feed. And here's another example of something that I wanted to mention. So as you can see, I did the trick perfectly fine there. Everything was fine, except Sly didn't get any horizontal movement. He just went straight up in the air. So this is a problem I bet a lot of you guys are probably going to have. So the reason for that problem is because you're not far enough back when you land in the water. So a lot of people I see land like right here. You need to land like back here. So the farther you are away from your starting position, which is up here on the roof where we started our super jump train, the farther you are away from that starting position, the more of an angle it takes the game to send you back at. So if you go too close, the game doesn't have enough of an angle to send you back at, so it kind of just sends you right straight up in the air. But the farther you are away, so the farther back you are here, the more angle the game has to give Sly to send him back to his starting position, which gives you the perfect angle. So this may or may not work. It was pretty much right on the edge of... so that's going to work. So that worked. I got horizontal momentum, and I didn't get the trick. So the only reason I didn't get the trick there was because I pressed X too early. I canceled Sly's drowning animation too early. So here I'm going to do the same thing again. See what happens here. So again, I pressed it too early. And you'll have to get a feel for this, because sometimes Sly will clip right through the water plane. Some other times he might just kind of get stunned for a minute. Like he'll hit the water plane and then kind of like stay in the water for a second. You kind of just gotta get a feel for it when you want to press X. But the general rule of thumb here is to press X the moment these mountains in the background are about to leave the game feed, or just a little bit before. So this is perfect. This will give me the trick 100% of the time. So that was perfect. Like I said, if you're getting the trick and you're not getting any horizontal momentum, try to start a little bit closer on the left side of this to get as much distance back towards this death plane as you can. Like I said, you want to be as close to this corner as you can when you land in. The farther back, the better. Also, another thing you want to do is you want to make sure you're super jumping here, because as you can see, Sly's grounded position was updated, and now I'm starting here, which is not where you want to be. You want to be started on the roof. So make sure you super jump here if you're out to this edge. Another thing I want to mention is try to make sure you're curving to the left, so Sly really gets wedged out of that death plane. And the last thing is, when you do get the trick, when you're falling into the void and Sly is in his drowning state, you want to be sure, you want to be absolutely sure that you are pressing X at the right time, or you're going to go too far or too low. In my opinion, it's better to go too far than it is to go too low, because if you go too far, you still have a chance to save the trick. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go too far deliberately. So this is way too high, but I'm going to press square to cancel my momentum and see if I can't just get the trick. So that was insanely close. Like I said, you can still save it if you go too far. Just take a risk and try to cancel Sly's momentum with a square input. You can still save it. And yeah, I'm just going to try to show this off one more time. So like I said, super jump, come in, and then curve out at the last second. So I'm just going to explain this one more time. So super jump when you get to the edge of this. Make sure you're jumping from the left side, so you have all the distance you can get here. Curve out, hit the water, turn your camera around, and press X when those mountains are about to leave the game feed. If you get the bonk, you know you're good, and this should work. Perfect. And again, one last time, if you're not getting your momentum, if you're going straight up in the air, you need to make sure Sly is on the left side of this log and you're jumping as far back towards this plane as you can and curving to the left at the very last second. That's what you need to make sure you do. So just jump way out, extend your double jump, and curve to the left at the last second. If you do that correctly, you should be able to get this trick every time. If you are doing this correctly and you're not getting it still, your starting position may be off. The starting position is usually not an issue. I've got it with a lot of different starting positions. But the general rule of thumb is if you're going straight up in the air and you're not getting any horizontal momentum, the reason for that is you're not getting far enough back here into the water when you drown. And like I said, if you're going too far, if you're going too low, you need to adjust your X timing. And the general rule of thumb to hit square is right when you're about to pass over that top of that statue there. You can get a feel for that as well. Like I said, this is going to take a lot of practice, a lot of feel, but you will get it down. Trust me, it's not the hardest thing in the world. But yeah, so one last time here. We'll see if this works. This is looking really good. I don't need to press square here. I can just let him go. And I went right under it, so that means I was too low, which means I needed to wait another like half a second to press X to cancel the drowning animation. So we'll wait a little bit longer there to press X, and this should work. This should be perfect. Yeah, this is going to be perfect. Not even going to press square here, just going to let it work, and bang. So hopefully that helped you guys. Let me know if you guys have any issues with anything. And yeah, good luck, boys.